Welcome back to Mental Health Matters with me. It's a brand new episode, and today we are starting a series about self-esteem. I'm not really sure how many episodes we are going to have, but the goal is to talk about everything that involves self-esteem because a lot of people suffer from a low self-esteem, and it can lead to other mental health issues. It can lead to other things that are unexpected, things that can affect your life in ways that you can never imagine. So I thought, let's talk about self-esteem because it is a fact that a lot of adults, a lot of grown up people, a lot of mature people suffer from a low self esteem, and it can absolutely destroy so much that they've already done to improve their lives. It can just destroy the progress that you've made up to the point where you are right now in your life. So let's get into it. Now, I think the most basic thing to understand is that when you suffer from a low self esteem, it plays out differently depending on your situation, depending on your personality and your environment, the people around you, um, what is just happening, all the things that are just happening in your life. So, this is why if you go to a therapist, if you go to a counselor, a coach, for professional help, they will try to understand what is happening around you, what is happening in your life, what happened prior to now, so that they can be able to assist you and make you aware of why you are suffering from a low self-esteem. So that's what we need to understand first and foremost. Now, another thing that I feel is more relevant these days, or let me just say, most people come across as people that are either easily intimidated. So if someone is easily intimidating to you, then that is a very big sign that you suffer from a low self esteem. The second point is insecurities. So, if you have insecurities, and yes, we all do, but if you have insecurities that are so bad to a point where you will self sabotage, you will stop yourself from doing something great, from doing something good. You will stop all the good things that are happening in your life somewhere, somehow, so that you can feel less insecure. So, insecurity, definitely feeling intimidated by others, absolutely. Those are signs of a low self esteem as well as fear. But I don't want to really talk about fears because remember that fear is the root cause of so many things. So if you are scared of something, you will begin to act insecure, you will feel intimidated, you will feel angry, you will be harsh towards yourself, towards others. So fear is really the root cause, let me just say that, of a low self-esteem. So also that is just what we need to understand. Now, if I think about, myself having experienced a low self-esteem, I have spoken about it in my previous videos so many times. And anybody who's just experienced a low self-esteem, or at some point you just felt like, you're not capable of doing something, or whatever the case might be, I think for all of us, we should also look back and think about where this all started. So I usually say to people that that have anxiety. So anxiety, fear, Remember that anxiety is also a form of fear, and it plays out as you being anxious, as you having anxiety. So when someone is suffering or when someone is anxious, I would usually just ask them, why? Why are you feeling anxious? And of course, they'll give you a reason. I'm feeling anxious because I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can be able to deal with this. I don't know how to deal with this. And I'm anxious because it's going to get worse. I think it's going to get worse. Um, and then I just dig deep and I just go in as to why, because maybe, or most of the time, it's not you. Most of the time, it's not you. Most of the time, we are worried, we are concerned about what other people will think, how other people will view us, whether or not we are going to be accepted or rejected in situations. So, most of the time, why do I ask people why? Why are you feeling anxious? It's because I want it to lead to that point where they can actually say, oh, okay, yes, I did not wake up and begin to feel anxious out of nothing, out of nowhere. It's because I have all these things that are beyond me. And what are those things that are beyond you? Assumptions that you're making, about other people, how other people are going to react. Oh, I don't know, my partner, my mom, my dad is not going to, I don't think they're going to be happy about this if I do this. Um, my friends, this, that. You're constantly thinking about other people, and you are then using another person's voice to determine whether or not you should feel anxious. So if you look at that, it's like you're giving complete control. You're giving away your power. You're giving complete control to other people to say, these people, they control. They control my emotions. They control how I feel. This is why a lot of people say, don't allow other people to control your emotions. Of course, another person cannot control your emotions. If we think about it in a literal sense, in a physical sense, no one can tell you what to feel or how to feel about a situation or whatever it is. But the minute you start inserting other people's voices in your head, other people's expectations, other people's assumptions, then definitely you are allowing them to control your emotions. You are allowing them to control your decisions, to take over your life. And at the end of the day, we can't blame them, because that is the decision that you took, whether you were conscious or unconscious about it. Hence, communication is the root to all these issues. If you don't know how to communicate with other people, if you don't feel comfortable with communicating with other people, then that means the communication line that you have with yourself is broken, or you have issues in regards to communicating with yourself, or the communication that you have with yourself is negative, and this is not healthy. It's just not healthy. So then you feel incapable of communicating with other people. A lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, I don't think it's fair for me to say a lot of people. A few people have said to me, I'm a very blunt person. I'm very straight to the point. I shoot off the mouth. I shoot off the mouth. I am very spicy, feisty, and all these words. And to me, I absolutely, that is their opinion, that is their experience of me. I don't have an issue. But whenever someone is describing me, or whenever someone is talking about me, then and telling me, then I definitely take the time to reflect. I definitely analyze where that is coming from. And I step out of myself and I analyze the situation and try to figure out what might actually make me spicy or feisty or whatever. And after all these and all this analysis that I did and everything else that I did, when people, reflecting about this, when people say such things, I figured that it's not because I'm spicy. Because what is spicy? It's not because I'm spicy. It's not because I'm feisty. It's not because of that. It's simply because I, compared to most people that are around those people, I am one of the few, if not the only one, that will communicate in the most clear and precise manner. It is what it is. And if my tone is offensive, I always say, if my tone is offensive or my choice of words are too brutal for you, I stand to be corrected. I'm happy to say, well, I apologize. Or I'm sorry that you took it this way, but I didn't mean it like this. This is how I meant it. But it's because the ear is not accustomed to someone who says it like it is. Why? Because most people around them are constantly sugarcoating things. Most people around them maybe just feel the need to not say much. And those are people's personalities. Those are people's unique abilities and qualities. No judgment whatsoever. But this is just an example to say, when you are not accustomed to something, when you communicate with yourself in a particular way, when other people communicate with you in a different way, it just feels uncomfortable. It feels like, I don't like this. I think she's too spicy. I think she's too much. I think she's too that. And this, for me, it has really shown me how much I've grown, because I don't feel offended. I don't feel offended. In fact, I encourage people, I'm like, please tell me, what do you think about what I said or how I expressed myself? I'm free. Tell me. I will not feel offended. I will not feel some type of way. That's not the point. Why? Because my self-esteem is no longer low. My self-esteem has improved. I've done the work. I do the work every day. Do I slip sometimes? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I've come so far. I now know how to communicate with myself. Before I communicate with somebody else, I've already communicated with myself. So when we talk about someone who has a low self-esteem, the communication, the voice that is constantly influencing how you move is usually not yours. It usually is the voice of somebody else or the voices of other people, which leads me to this point about insecurities, especially physical insecurities. If you feel like you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too dark, you're too light, you're too this, you're too that, definitely, absolutely 100%, that is not your voice. That is not your voice. Recently, I had a podcast session with Inside Modern Wellness. So I will put the link as well as the details below. Please subscribe to this channel. It's all about modern wellness, all things wellness, fitness, food, and all these controversial things that are going on right now in the world regarding wellness, regarding mental health, every aspect of wellness. It's very informative, and you can absolutely learn a lot about yourself without even realizing. So I recently joined in the session, and we were talking about mental health and aesthetics. And one of the questions that I was asked was, how do I handle someone who is struggling with how they look with their body image, and maybe they would probably want to adjust how they look and go under surgery and change something about yourself, but at the same time this person is most probably feeling or will feel the same even after making the body changes or modifications on his or her body. And my thing was, we need to understand something about the physical, the body. When we are young, when we are kids, toddlers, children, we are told so many things about our bodies. We are constantly criticized by our own parents, siblings, uncles, aunts, neighbors, everything. We are constantly criticized about our bodies. Oh, but you have a big head. You are too fat. You are too thin, and you are this and you are that. Same with the color of the skin. The idea of colorism. Where does colorism come from? No one is born and immediately determines whether they are too dark and too light. No one wakes up and makes those crazy judgments and stereotypes and begins to label themselves. These are the things that other people are constantly projecting on us. They're constantly projecting on us. And so what happens is that voice, it runs in your head. It runs, it runs, it runs. You grow up, you become a teenager, you become a young adult, you become an adult, you are middle aged, you even become an elderly, and you still struggle with that idea. You still struggle with that label. So how do we then get rid of it? We have to identify the source. This is an aunt who said I'm like this and who said I'm like that. I will never forget a time when this neighbor, who was very close to my family and so on, um, saw me after many, many years. And she said something like, "Oh, you were so ugly. And right now you've improved," or something like that. Like, growing up as a child, you were so ugly. So for me, I'll never forget that. And trust me, that was just one person who said that. Maybe other people have probably said it behind closed doors. I don't know. I really do not care. But that was one person who was bold enough to come up to me and say that. And obviously, back then, I did not feel very good about it. I absolutely handled the situation, and I was like, listen, you are so grown. You are grown up, but you are picking. You go around picking on little kids. You go around telling children. You go around telling adults, actually, that this is how they were as kids, as children. You've been a bully since clearly you've been a bully since you were a kid, and you continue to do that. And to be honest, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't make a difference in my life. It doesn't change the way I look. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't change my bank balance. It doesn't transform my life. It doesn't do anything. What she was merely doing was projecting. She was projecting. Why was she projecting? Because she is an adult with a very bad skin condition, or a very severe skin condition. So that was very crystal clear for me that this person is just projecting. And I so happen to be the person that she thought was more suitable. So this is just an example to show that most of the things we tell ourselves, our insecurities, the things that we don't like about ourselves, we began not to like those things when other people said them to us. So What can we do to reclaim our voice, reclaim our power? We need to identify the source. We need to identify the source and remind yourself, this is not my voice. She was talking about herself. He was talking about himself. Definitely not me. He was not talking about me. I get to rewrite the narrative. I get to say something different. And I think I'm beautiful. And I think I'm amazing. I think I'm a 10. And that's it. And I am. So that's how you slowly begin to change the communication that you have inside, internally. And that is the basic building block to a healthy self-esteem. I will not say a high self-esteem, because sometimes vocabulary is absolutely important, and vocabulary is a sensitive topic, because when we say a low and something, when we say a low self-esteem and then a high self-esteem, for some people it feels like it's an extreme. It's like, how do I just jump from a low to a high? So it's better to just say a healthy self-esteem, because sometimes you will not feel healthy, but most of the time you will feel healthy, because you will constantly remind your mind that you are beautiful, you look good, you are amazing, your shape is great, you are glowing, you are a 10, whatnot. So you will constantly have to remind your mind, because sometimes the voices of other people have been in our internal worlds for so long, and it makes it really difficult to change that voice, to get rid of that voice. So it's a work in progress. So this is exactly what I wanted to talk about today. The major building block, the root of a low self-esteem, and where does it come from? And maybe what you can do today is actually ask yourself, where does this come from? Why do I believe this about myself? Who told me this? When? Was it when I was in high school? Or was it at some point in a relationship? Where does this come from? And why did this particular person say this? Was he talking about himself? Was he talking about other people? Because definitely he was not talking about me. So this is how you start, and you will begin to see a shift in your self-esteem, in the ways in which you regard yourself. So thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned as we move along into more deeper issues regarding self-esteem, and take care.